This is Bastiaan, and I'm going to show you a game I played against the Smith-Morra Gambit, which is a variation of the Sicilian. So I'm playing black. Play starts out with e4 and c5, so we're seeing the Sicilian. And then the beginning of the Smith-Morra Gambit. So white plays d4, and I'm able to attack his pawn immediately. And the Smith-Morra Gambit continues with pawn takes pawn, then c3, again pawn takes pawn, and knight takes, which wasn't played. So obviously my opponent is a Gambit player, so I'm returning the favor and instead playing b5, which is probably unsound, and he can capture the pawn right away, which he does. So bishop takes, and then queen a5 check, attacking his bishop, which is blocked by knight to c3, protecting the bishop. The play continues with knight to f6, so I'm creating an attack on the e4 pawn, and his knight on c3 is blocked, so unable to defend it. So he's defending with f3, a6 to chase away the bishop, and bishop goes to c4. So I don't know what my opponent had in mind when he offered the Smith-Morra Gambit, but it definitely wasn't this position. So we're definitely playing out of book. Play continues with e6, so I'm blunting the bishop's diagonal, and bishop to d2. So not only can the knight move now because he's no longer pinned, white immediately will create a counterattack with the bishop on the queen. So pawn takes pawn, so I'm getting a pawn back and forcing the knight to move. And the knight obviously goes to d5. Fortunately there's nothing there for the knight to take advantage of. Black needs to deal with the threat bishop takes queen right away. So best move is queen to d8. Which covers all possible knight moves. And also prevents white from doubling black's pawns on the f-file after knight takes knight. So white's knight is still under attack, so knight takes knight was played, and I recapture with the queen. Knight to h3, aggressive development, and white is getting ready to castle. Knight to c6, bishop to g5, attacking the queen, goes to e5, white castles, and bishop to e7, offering a bishop exchange. White refuses and keeps attacking the queen. And queen goes to c5, attacking white's bishop. So the bishop needs to retreat, goes to b3. So I castle myself. And knight moves to f2, plugging the hole. For after d3, I can get a check in. And now that's no longer the case. So a5, with the idea to continue advancing and attack the bishop. Knight goes to d3, attacking the queen, also protecting the pawn on b2 in some instances. So I need to retreat. Queen goes to b6, a3, creating an escape for the bishop if needed. a4, continuing the attack, but now that the queen's gone, the bishop doesn't have to retreat right away. Can also move to c4 because it's no longer covered by the queen. So bishop goes to c4 and f6, with the idea of playing either g5 or e5 to chase away the bishop. White doesn't wait for it and plays bishop g3 immediately. Knight to a5, attacking the bishop, and now the bishop does have to retreat to a2. And bishop to a6, so now I'm creating a pin on the knight. Rook goes to b2 to strengthen the b2 pawn in case of an exchange. Bishop takes knight, so in this case the pawn is still protected. Rook a to c8, rook to the half open file. Bishop to f2, trying to attack the d4 pawn. Knight to c4, rook to e2, so the rook is getting off of the diagonal, the a6 f1 diagonal. And knight to e3, which is now overprotected by both bishop and rook. So white takes and I retook with the pawn. So now I'm having one passed pawn behind enemy lines, but it can prove to be an asset if I can promote it or use it in a mating attack, or it can prove to be a weakness if it's in need of defending. So rook to e2, this not only blocks the pawn on e3, but also allows a battery with queen e1 and allows white to take on e3. And here I'm playing f5. So the idea is either to advance the pawn and create protection for the e3 pawn, or if pawn takes pawn, then I can develop my bishop to g5 after capturing the pawn with the rook in order to protect the pawn on e3. Also I'm creating a half open file for my rook. So if white continues to form a battery, bishop to g5 and it's protected. Or I can even afford to waste a move, let's say king h8. And if white takes, he'll lose the rook. So that looks like a good defense. But queen e1 was played to create the battery immediately, so white isn't capturing my pawn. So now I'm able to advance or capture. And I choose to capture the pawn simply because it has to be dealt with. So pawn is threatening knight. Knight can't move because of the attack with the bishop. And if pawn recaptures, which is probably best, I get a rook on an open file, and I'm still able to develop the bishop to g5 in order to protect the pawn. So I was looking at bishop to g5, but then I spotted something else which is much stronger. I played rook takes c2 instead. So if rook takes rook, then I can play bishop takes and I'm creating an attack on the two rooks. Also e2 has become available, so I can advance the pawn with a check. So if rook c1 for instance, e2 check, king moves, take, take, rook f1 check, take, take, rook takes queen, and queen takes b2 with an attack on bishop and pawn. So bishop moves and queen takes pawn, and if nothing else, black can simply promote the a pawn. So after rook takes, black doesn't take the rook, instead plays queen to d1, attacking my rook and still protecting his rook. So rook takes and he takes back, bishop takes, queen takes back, e2 once again creating a check. So this almost forces king h1. And now the final move, queen to b2, and this attacks both his bishop and his rook. It protects the e2 pawn, and black cannot recapture because of king f1 checkmate. So after queen takes b2, my opponent resigns because there's no real way to stop material loss or a checkmate anymore. So that was the game with the Smith-Morra. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment.